unusual couple, you know.
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
Doing to see Wanda. Wanda.
Hello and welcome to the Infinity Saga and Beyond in our WandaVision recaps. I am Jordan Wiegand, and I have Casey McGeorge with me today.
How is it going, everybody?
It's going good. That's right, everybody. We are breaking down the final episode of WandaVision. Our 8-week journey, 9-episode journey is now complete. And the episode is just titled The Series Finale. Written by Jac Schaeffer, directed by Matt Shakman, premiering March 5th, 2021, with the score by Christophe Beck. Synopsis, this is... I don't know if you've read the official synopsis.
I think I looked at it real quick, but...
I literally just read it to type it in here, and it's hysterical. Here it is. The events of WandaVision come to a head, and the destinies of all who took part are determined. It's like, no way were they going to give spoilers away in that synopsis.
Nope, none.
So what was your initial thoughts here, Casey?
So first off, any and every theory I had during this entire show was wrong. Wrong.
Pretty much the same.
Wrong. Just completely wrong. But I figured that. But hey, I accept it. I thought the finale was great. For the people who wanted action, who were upset there wasn't any action throughout the first 8 episodes, they got that in this episode. It left me wanting more. And I have some hopes and wishes of where I would like to see it go, or what else I would like to see after. And then there was confusion on where it led to. But I was satisfied. I was a little heartbroken at points, but I thought it was good overall.
I agree. Okay. Reddit and Twitter are just awful places. I'll just say that. Because I actually saw a lot of hate towards this episode. And I don't understand why. I saw a lot of people saying that there was unanswered questions still. And when we get through all this stuff, I'll point out all the answers that I thought we were never going to get answers to. And of course, not everything is resolved, right? Because some of it is going to lead into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So we already know that. They've announced that. But the main part of WandaVision is wrapped up, right? The part of Westview is wrapped up. Agatha's part is wrapped up. I also saw people complain that it devolved into a CGI battle at the end. These are superheroes. I don't know what else you thought was going to happen, and actually I have some stuff to refute that as well as we get into it. But I really liked it, and I heard the hate before I started it, so maybe the whole time I was watching it I was like, okay, something's going to happen here that really upsets everybody. But nope. Not for me anyway. So I really liked it, and I just watched it, watching it again the second time, I reaffirmed that, I really did like this episode. Not the strongest episode, I don't think, of the show, but for me, it wrapped everything up. And I think I spoke last week that there were like 3 things that I wanted wrapped up. And it was like Agatha, White Vision, and the whole Westview stuff. And all 3 of those were wrapped up. So for me, I was kind of already lowering my expectations. I don't know if you heard this whole story about Paul Bettany saying that there was a cameo in there of an actor he's wanted to work with his whole life. And he realizes now that he should not have said that because he was joking about it on Good Morning America. But he was referring to himself. He was making a joke of referring to himself and him, acting alongside himself as both Vision and White Vision. In the credits, they are Vision and the Vision. And it was a really good joke, I thought. Now, of course, the fan bases and everybody with social media and stuff takes these things 100% at face value and just runs with it.
We did on here. We were throwing out random people and.
Yeah, but like once it got
was.
to, people are still like really upset at him and stuff like that. So it just get over it, people. He was making a joke, and look, I'm all good with theorizing. We were theorizing this whole time, but I don't really get upset when my theories are not true. It's just it's a shot in the dark sometimes, and some people, as we'll get into, I'll tell some of the complaints people had here. I'll just get into one of them now. People were upset that Senior Scratchy the bunny was just a bunny. And I said, in my head, I didn't respond to this, I was just like, did they ever make you think it wasn't a bunny? I mean, really, like, it's in the second episode as a bunny. The boys are petting the rabbit, so obviously it's not one of the boys. And then she's just petting the rabbit when she's talking to Wanda. That's literally as much as we see Senior Scratchy. And witches have animals in all of popular media, so I really think that just fits with Agatha's character, and I don't think that there was any need to have Senior Scratchy be like a human trapped in a rabbit form or anything.
I think maybe it's just because it's Marvel and they tend to do all kind of stuff that's out there, and there's always misdirections, and there's always a chance that there's something right in front of you don't know. But
I could see that, and I was just talking to my wife about this too, because I was like, what I think is bothering a lot of people probably is that this is really the first Marvel MCU product that we are seeing weekly where the whole story is not told, since this is the first TV show. Usually you go to a movie, you might speculate before the movie, but once you start that movie, it's over in like 2.5 hours and you're walking out. In this case, we had like between 30 to 50 minutes a week where then people would speculate and then, get attached to their theories, and then it would kind of drop off for them, I guess. Usually you're just kind of going into the movie, you've seen some trailers, but you can't like pause the movie when you're in the theater and be like, I think this is what's going to happen. You might think of it quickly, but then the next information's coming at you, so you just have to take it, And maybe that's what part of it is. But I don't think the show built up some of these things that people have complained about. So for me, I'm going to, maybe some of the actors were building things up. We talked about Paul Bettany. Apparently, Tiana Paris said before that the aerospace engineer would be mind-blowing. It was just a woman in the military that gave her the stuff, right? Like, there was nothing there, but people were then speculating on that. And I don't think that's the show's fault, really. I feel like it's like the actors or just the fans themselves, like, trying to think of cool thing. Everybody thinking it was Reed Richards from, Fantastic Four and stuff. But anyway, let's get into the actual plot. So this episode picks up, like, right where we left off. Agatha has the boys by the neck with her magic ropes, and Wanda's confronting her, and Agatha mentions what she really wants, right? She wants to absorb her powers. And we could kind of get that sense from last week, because that's what Agatha did to the witches in the Salem scene. She was absorbing their powers. And also the fact that as she kept asking Wanda how she, learned her powers, and, if she was a natural, she, obviously at that point when she figures out, like, what Wanda is, the Scarlet Witch and everything, she would obviously want that power, because she wants to probably be the most powerful witch in the world. So I enjoyed when these two started going at it here, right?
And as we talked about last week, how Agatha was starting to like absorb powers, or like she was taking the powers from the other people, the other witches that were there. But I never really, I don't know. I didn't think. I figured she was going to try and get Wanda's powers, but I didn't think it was going to cause like the decay of Wanda like it did.
See, I thought it would because it was very similar to, that scene with her mother and stuff. I didn't think about it as much when it was happening at first, like where her hands were turning kind of like lifeless. But when we get near the end and she's like really absorbing her and she started kind of looking like those other witches in the Salem scene, I was like, oh, so that's what she was doing to them. Like, it wasn't just that she was absorbing their life, but she was absorbing their powers as well. Which makes sense now why Agatha is so powerful, I guess. So, she tells Tommy and Billy when she's able to break them free to get to their room, and, they want to help, but Agatha says, listen to your mother, because she's, they're going to battle. They're going to throw down here. And Tommy uses his speed to grab his brother Billy, and they go inside. And then this is when we get Wanda just absolutely smashing Agatha with a car.
And I like the kind of little Wizard of Oz bit there from that.
Yes, with the boots underneath of the car when it breaks into the house. Yes, it was a nice little reference to Wizard of Oz.
I thought maybe we would see something maybe a little more similar, like maybe, not along with that, like maybe we'd see like her body shrivel up like in the Wizard of Oz, but we didn't, and that's fine. But I still got like the Wizard of Oz vibes from that.
Yes, yeah, it was probably definitely an Easter egg in the by the show. I'm not sure if Agatha was intending for it. That would be funny if she was, though, because they've been referencing TV shows this whole time, and then to reference a movie like that. And then this is when we get right after that we get the Vision or White Vision, whatever you want to call him. Coming in and he touches her face kind of like softly, or Wanda thinks so anyway, and then he starts trying to smash her skull in, and then this is when we get then the fake Vision, or I don't know how you want to differentiate these. Our Vision that we've known.
It sounds weird. I like going by White Vision.
Yeah, so we get Green Vision coming in here and saving Wanda.
And then I like his comment of, they told me you were powerful.
Yes. He's kind of like taunting her. It was really nice comment there. Especially, it's got to really sting for her because, this is the original Vision. This is the actual guy that she fell in love with, devoid of all of his emotions, but this is the body. This is the one that she knew, before they kind of like reprogrammed him. So it's probably got to be even more painful, when you have somebody you love doing that to you. Then, like Vision saves Wanda. He smashes White Vision into an RV that blows up. And this is where we get Wanda's line of, Vision, this is our home. And he's like, then we're going to, defend it or save it, whatever he says. And then we get Agatha appearing at the top of the house there. And we get White Vision coming back at Green Vision. And that, they kind of go their separate ways here to kind of battle this out. Here, Agatha goes into town square, and, the two Visions start fighting, and we see Monica, who's in Agatha's house in the attic, stuck with Pietro. But before we talk about that real quick, I actually really liked Agatha's line of, your ex and your boyfriend together at the same party.
Which one will you choose?
Yes. But we get Agatha's house with Pietro up there, and let's just talk about this whole thing, I guess, with Pietro, whatever you want to call him, because now we know who he really is. And I liked this. I never thought we were going to get an answer on who's Ralph. And here it is. He's Ralph. He's the Ralph that was always mentioned as Agnes's husband. He's the original homeowner, I guess, in this town before Agnes snuck in there and took it over. And not only do we get an answer on who fake Pietro is, it actually answers also Ralph. And this is what upset a lot of people because they're really upset it wasn't actually the X-Men Pietro. And I'm very glad it wasn't, because I think that would just be a mess. That would just be a mess continuity-wise. And for people that have no idea who X-Men, the X-Men films. And not all of those movies were great. So I don't really want to bring in all of those movies as like some sort of semi-continuity with the MCU, because not all of them were great. I'm fine that this is just an actor. You know, he had headshots, you know, stuff like that. That is named Ralph, and it answers Ralph. It answers fake Pietro. For me, this was satisfying.
So when the name came up, I saw afterwards that people were making something about the name. So I wasn't sure if that name had any meaning to it.
Right, Boner, Ralph Boner.
Yeah. So I was kind of like, okay, am I missing something with this name? Is this a comic thing I don't know about? Dang it, I'm going to have to ask Jordan about this name tomorrow. Like, what's going on? Apparently there was nothing. It was just was what it was. He's just a stoner dude who lived in a town. I don't know. The fact that they still got the actor who played the other Quicksilver to play this dude, maybe Marvel's just trolling us? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what it was is
maybe there's more to it we don't know, because Marvel's always playing the long game with everything.
I read an explanation that I think helps with this. Right, if it was any other actor, we would have known that was not really Pietro, right? But Wanda was still confused about it, so we would have been like, Wanda, you're an idiot. That's not actually Pietro. But when they cast Evan Peters as Pietro, and this tying into Multiverse of Madness, and they know that they've told us that, I think the idea was to make us think this could be actually Pietro, right? This could be Pietro, and now we're kind of as confused as Wanda is, you know? And then it's revealed, okay, that's not actually what happened. But I think it works because there's no other way in the other episodes that we would have thought, oh, this is actually Pietro. But since some fans kind of already know that he was, we kind of buy into it. The casual audience just buys into it because of Darcy's, oh, they recast Pietro line. So I think it works on those levels. But I can see why people would be like, thinking, I understand why people might be upset, but for me, I'm just very relieved that it is not that, because I just don't want those movies to be part of this, because they weren't that great, except for like Days of Futures Past.
Now, I'm not upset.
No, I understand.
So like for me, I'm not upset about it. Like, I just wasn't sure. Like I said, I still think there may be something to it, because we know at some point that they have the X-Men now and they're able to do some other things. At some point, they may bring them in, and especially by introducing him, even though it's not him, it gives them some wiggle room and creativity down the road of different things they can do, especially with her. So I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I wasn't disappointed that it was just some random dude. I was just like, okay, well, that was what it was. I was hoping for more there, but, and especially the stoner dude part. But I did like that Monica started showing more of her powers here.
Yes, I really liked when she eventually sees it's the necklace, because she's able to like see the energy coming from it with her powers. Yes, that was cool.
And then, basically she was able to like not kind of knock him out of his trance or whatever, was going on there. So that was, for me, that was seeing Monica start coming into her own a little bit was probably the most fulfilling portion of that.
Definitely. Just two very short scenes, really, in the attic. He does ask if she's a Steven Seagal fan, right? And
look, if it's late '80s, early '90s Seagal, sure. current new fat sheriff wannabe Seagal? Not really. And I say this with all due respect as a fat man myself. Like, so I'm not like fat hating here, but the new Steven Seagal, not so much.
I was not a big Steven Seagal guy in any of his movies. I don't know if I've really seen that many of him, but I'm not a big Seagal fan. I actually always confuse him with Stallone too, for whatever reason. Maybe it's the SS, like Steven Seagal. Sylvester Stallone. Anyway, then we get Jimmy Woo captured. Hayward is kind of like taunting him a bit, saying there's no footage of the two visions because Wanda canceled her show. Kind of a reference to the fact that it's not on TV, I guess. And says that Jimmy could have been a part of this if he had just had some more vision. But Jimmy grabs a phone here and is able to kind of sneak away. He also says people are going to be coming within the hour from the FBI.
So I love Wu. I love Asian Wu. I'm definitely gonna have to see some more of him. That's one of the sad things about the series ending is I don't have any more Wu or any more Darcy. And like I said before, if they made them like the new Mulder and Scully and did X-Files thing, I'd love it. I was a little confused by the phone thing because I don't know if that was his phone, if that was just someone else's phone. I saw the phone was ringing when he picked it up. So I was thinking maybe he answered it and then kind of let what's his name kind of do his villain tell all over the phone that someone would hear. And then come to find out they really didn't do anything with the phone until he got his handcuffs off. And then he was able to call up one of his FBI buddies and said, hey, can you be here in about an hour? So he was bluffing. Which, hey, I'm not knocking the bluff. Don't get me wrong. But I don't know if the phone confused me for a few minutes, and I just wasn't sure what the purpose of it was.
Yeah, I thought he was going to be like recording him or like he had dialed something and now everybody was hearing what he was saying. But
yeah, and I was thinking maybe that's how the FBI was going to be there within the hour. And then when he just called up his buddy and was like, oh, hey, any chance you can make it? I was like, oh, man, we got again.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, though, just the way he was like, yeah, like, any chance you can get here, like, within the hour? Because I don't think he was really bluffing. I guess he was bluffing in the sense that he hadn't called yet, but, like, he actually had a way to bring him there, right? Like, it wasn't just, like, I think Hayward thought it was a bluff in the sense of, like, nobody at all was going to be coming. But, he was able to make the call. I also liked when he took off the handcuffs, he said flourish. That was a reference to episode 2. Whenever Wanda and Vision would do their magic tricks, they would say flourish. So it's almost like he's referencing a pop culture TV show, but he's actually just referencing WandaVision that he had to watch this whole time.
Yeah. So does he know a lot of magic tricks? Or does he just know a few magic tricks?
I guess just the card trick. The other thing was just like, I guess he had a lock pick for the or some sort of something to pick the
like a
lock
paper clip or something.
Yeah. So then we get back to the town square where we have Agatha facing off against Wanda, and Agatha chooses a different approach, right? I really liked her approach here of waking up the townspeople to show Wanda what she's been doing to them. Wanda's kind of been in denial about how everybody should just be completely 100% fine with what's going on because she's made their lives better. We heard this in the other, in one of the episodes before, where it was like, everybody's jobs are better. Everybody's pay is better. Everybody's always happy. But we get Dottie waking up here, and she's just a regular person named Sarah, and she comes over and she's pleading to have her daughter become friends with her boys, so that way she gets like a storyline, so that way she can leave her room, because we kind of already established that when there's no kids in Westview, they're just kind of like on like a like a sleep mode, like in the house, and she just wants her daughter to be able to do something and get out of the house. So she's like pitching this like story idea to Wanda.
Yeah. So I wasn't disappointed, but that was one of my thoughts that was just way off base, because I thought Dottie was going to be someone else. And I thought Dottie
a
was
lot of
going to
people thought she was
going to
be like another witch or something.
Or Mephisto, and
Right.
that was not the case at all.
We get, a few of the townspeople. Then we get like Norm and Herb, and all these Mrs. Hart, waking up. Agatha mentions the Darkhold. So this is something we'll talk about a little bit later, but it is a book, very famous book in Marvel Comics. It was also on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is loosely part of the MCU. It was originally part of the MCU, and then when Kevin Feige was able to break away from Ike Perlmutter and move Marvel Studios away from the TV division, it kind of lost all connection with it. So I'm not really counting it as part of the continuity, because the book even looks different than it does in the show. But, Agatha mentions that her power exceeds, talking about Wanda, the Sorcerer Supreme, so that's Doctor Strange, and that, that she was not somebody, it's kind of like almost like a prophecy, right? The Scarlet Witch would not learn the power, just kind of come natural, right? Like she wouldn't have to like really work for it. And when all these people are kind of like begging Wanda to free them, she kind of asks Wanda, does this sound like what a hero does? Or, or does this sound like what heroes do? And it was a good point. I mean, Agatha's clearly going to do some bad stuff anyway. She wants to probably take over part of the world. She says, I'll leave this little corner of the world to you. But what I found interesting too was Norm saying that when they sleep, they have her nightmares. Like they're having the same nightmares that Wanda would have.
Yeah, when these townspeople started gathering, or when the angry mob started gathering around Wanda, I really started getting like the Salem witch vibes there. All they were missing was like pitchforks and torches. And I was really interested when he started bringing up the nightmares, because I don't know if Wanda's currently having nightmares. If these are nightmares she's had before. But I would be interested in knowing more about these nightmares here.
Definitely. I would love to get some more info on that. Wanda starts choking everybody by accident. She just kind of lets out this scream, and her powers just kind of start choking everybody, and she realizes that, and she immediately, tries to fix it, and gets, the necks loosened again. And we get the line from Mrs. Hart of, if you're not going to let us go, like, at least let us die. Right? So,
yeah. Like,
so nobody's having a good time.
Misery quick, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't and then Agatha brings up basically she's torturing these people.
Yes.
She's sitting there, Wanda just thinks she's doing these people a great favor and they're living these great lives. But when she starts realizing the pain she's caused them, she starts realizing that these people are being tortured every day. And she has the power and ability to start pretty much having her way with these people. You can tell it starts affecting her. She starts realizing the entire hold that she has on everything here.
And Vision tried to tell her about this too. Remember, like when Vision woke up Norm, and Norm said how much pain he's in, in like the 80s episode, and Vision comes home and he's like, Wanda, these people are in pain. I don't think Wanda could really tell that, and when she heard that, I think she wanted to deny it, and even here she was trying to deny it and, be in denial of, no, your life's great, and she's being now confronted with this. Especially once she says, like, if you're not gonna let us leave, then at least let us die. It's really hitting her that these people would rather be dead than just be like on this autopilot. Herb
part of your show.
Yeah, Herb even says like something about like the mirror, right? Like, but before when I looked in the mirror, I didn't like recognize myself or whatever, and it's almost like they're because she's in their heads and everything. It's just so much pain because they're being like suppressed. They're being suppressed. They understand what's going on because obviously they do, because Dottie or Sarah comes over and says, "Hey, put my daughter in your storyline." Like, they know stuff is going on, and it's just hurting them that they can't even they have no free will.
So you know what this kind of reminds me of? Have you seen Get Out?
I have not. No.
See, I don't want to spoil it for you then.
I think I've been spoiled on it.
Okay.
Maybe.
So the movie's a couple years old. Spoiler alert for anybody who has not watched it. Skip ahead a minute or two. Okay. Jordan Peele's Get Out. At one point, the main character finds out that his girlfriend's parents, his girlfriend's dad is like a surgeon, and he's able to transplant. How do I explain? He's able to transplant someone's like consciousness and body into. He's using it to take these older white people's consciousness and body and put it in these black people's bodies, right? But the thing is, they're still inside, so they don't have any control. The black people in the bodies don't have any control of what's going on, but they can still see. They know what's going on. They just can't control anything, and they can see what is happening. So, and basically, they end up being hypnotized, and it's called a sunken place. So it's like, it basically is like you're watching TV, and you're seeing what's going on, but you just can't control the person. And that's kind of the gist I got here of what it must be like for these people to go through. They're inside their own bodies. They see these interactions that they're having. They see these motions they're going through. They see everything that's going on. And deep inside, they're probably screaming and trying to do everything they can to get out, but they can't. And
yeah, so I can kind of see how that would relate.
And just how painful and torturous that has to be. Like, and especially when they say, okay, it's one thing for them, but now at least like Dottie, you brought up Dottie, she brings up her daughter. At least, I can't salvage myself, but at least maybe my daughter can have a bit in the storyline where she can, like you said, get out of the room and interact instead of just being stuck there. And then, what's his name? The lady from that 70s show she brought up will just at least kill us. And how bad must it be for you to be willing to say, you know what? I can't do this anymore. At least kill me and make it quick so this can be over with.
So, this is where we get Monica realizing the necklace is how Agatha has control of Ralph. Billy starts seeing visions of Wanda needing help, and him and Tommy go towards that way. And then Wanda starts bringing the barrier down. She realizes that she's going to let these people go. So she's telling them to run, and she's going to open up the barrier. And as she's doing this, as Vision is fighting with White Vision, Vision starts losing power because, he can only survive in the Hex, and the Hex is starting to fall apart, and he starts falling down to the ground. And then you see Billy and Tommy stop speed running, and they're starting to break apart. And Hayward sees the hole, and he's like, all right, it's time to go in.
And then this is an interesting conundrum for Wanda because Agnes brings it up. So what do? Do you keep your family and continue to torture this town? Or do you let these people go and lose your family? It's kind of a version of the trolley problem that was brought up during The Good Place.
Yes.
just a lot more personal because it's not just random people. Now it's people you know. So now you have a choice of the trolley's going down. Do you send the trolley over your family, 3 members of your family to spare hundreds of people? Or do you allow the trolley to run over the hundreds of people to keep your family alive?
And what makes it worse is that Wanda has lost everybody she's loved already, right? She's lost her parents. She's lost Vision originally. She lost her brother. She brings Vision back in this way. She now has kids, and now she has to lose them again. Or she has to have that thought of, this is where, like, I heard somebody say Wanda had no character growth in this episode, and I think that's totally wrong, as we'll get to in the final battle, but also just the fact that she does eventually give up this family, which is her whole arc of the show, right? She started this because she couldn't handle the loss, and comes to the point where she realizes that she was wrong, and that she has to let these people go, and that it's going to be at the expense of her family. Her
Monica,
happiness.
Like Monica tells her in the very end, I know we're skipping ahead a little bit, but like Monica tells her, the people of this town will never know what you gave up.
Right. So Wanda sees this. She brings the barrier back up for a bit, and we get the cool hero pose of the family all together. It was really great. We get kind of like the Avengers heroic type theme, and Wanda starts to attack Agatha. We get Vision fighting Vision, and we get Wanda's badass line of, like, boys, like, take the military, which I thought was awesome. And the boys, you have Tommy speed running, take all their guns. You have Monica come in and save the day when Hayward just decides to become a brutal murderer, and just in his defense, I guess he doesn't think these people are real because they can't exist outside of there, but he just grabs a gun, pretty much says I'll do it myself, and starts firing at the kids. And Monica comes in and uses her powers, and the bullets go through her, and Billy catches the one that doesn't with his magic. And then we get Darcy, like, ramming him with the funnel cake truck, which I totally forgot that would have been something that was not a funnel cake truck. I was like, this funnel cake truck just took out a military vehicle. But when it changes back at the end, I was like, oh, that makes sense because of the, the hex making it look like something that fits in. It was like another military vehicle.
Okay, but in all fairness, and this is knowledge I have that most people don't. Humvees aren't really that. I mean, it's kind of like just aluminum and like sheet metal. So like that funnel cake truck definitely, unless it's like an up armored, like one of the heavier Humvees that they use in a combat situation, those look like just regular standard ones. So yeah, like that funnel cake truck running into it can definitely cause that much damage on one of those.
Okay.
And I completely forgot about Darcy. Like after Vision flew away from her a couple episodes ago, I completely forgot that Darcy was even in the series. I thought that was the last I was going to see of Darcy, and that was it.
Yeah, she finally got through all the red lights and construction work. She got there right in time.
Darcy
we also see
the
FBI appear at the sword tents at this point as well.
Yeah, and so they eventually start going through collecting all the evidence. So they start going through collecting all the computers and all that other stuff. And
what do you think? What do you think they get Hayward on here? Because some people are like, "What's he arrested for?" I'm assuming it has to do something with he had to break some laws with maybe Vision's body and maybe even like, I'm not really sure. I understand, like, for at the outside, people would say, well, he was just trying to save everything, but he was really really targeting, like, killing Wanda. So maybe attempted murder or
maybe treason.
Yeah, it could be anything, I guess.
Yeah, and especially you never know with what kind of laws were put into place because of the Sokovia Accords, and then what kind of laws were put in place because of the snap, and then what other laws might have been put in place because of the blip, when everyone was blipped back, and all this other...
he could have broken the Sokovia Accords with Vision, right? Because they mention, there you go, they mention that bringing Vision, this is for all the people complaining about this, in episode 4, when we see the fake security footage, or the real security footage that's cut to make it look like Wanda took the body, says that it's against Vision's will to bring him back to life, but Jimmy says it would also be against the Sokovia Accords. So maybe he broke some of these Sokovia Accords, bringing in White Vision.
But like I said, between the Sokovia Accords and the snap and the blip and all these other things that may have happened, and laws and agreements that have been struck up, and new organizations that have come up, and who knows where they fall. And I'm sure there were many, many, many laws that were broken. And that'd be one of those kind of things where, like, he might be put into like some sort of super villain, super max prison. He wouldn't just be put in like Sing Sing. To me, and I'm probably way wrong, that's the kind of thing that turns Hayward into some sort of super villain down the road. Because he has the drive and he was stopped from doing everything he wanted to, but I don't know. But yeah, he broke many laws and treaties and various other things.
We have Vision asking about the ship of Theseus. So this is where I was going to bring up people saying, well, it just devolved into a CGI battle at the end. Vision actually talks his way out of this. This is not a fight at the end. Like, they do a little skirmish, then they get into like the library type looking thing. I guess it was the library. He asks, he's like, why are you even doing this? And White Vision says, I am to kill the Vision. And this is where he's pretty much saying, like, I'm not really Vision, you are, And he uses this metaphor of the ship of Theseus, and, like, if they replace the wood or refurbish the wood, is it the ship of Theseus?
So I can break that down for anybody who might have been confused. All right, let's take Old Ironsides. It's old. I think it's a Civil War ship that's in Boston Harbor, right? You have the ship. The ship's hundreds of years old. As the ship gets old and wood starts to rot and the sails start to go and the ropes on the sails start to go, if you want to keep it up and running, you have to start replacing it. And eventually it starts with maybe a plank of wood here, a couple pieces of rope here, this, that, the other thing. Eventually, over time, more and more of it gets replaced. And eventually enough time will pass that everything on that ship will be replaced. So it's a paradox that people have talked about for many different things. Is it still the same ship is it still Old Ironsides? If after 200 years, everything on this ship is replaced, all the wood, all the nails, the masts, the sails, the rope, the captain's wheel, if everything is replaced, is it still the same ship as it was before? Or is it a new ship? And therein lies the paradox. And then that kind of, like, as he was explaining this to him, and like, it kind of stopped me, and I was like, I wanted more of a fight, but it kind of got me there. Like, is one really Vision? Which one is Vision? Are they both Vision? I don't know.
White Vision tries to flip this on Vision by saying, well, you thought you were Vision, right? And he's like, well, yeah, until I met you, right? Now I realize I'm not the actual body of Vision. Like, I am made up of something else, which we'll get to. But yeah, I liked this. I really liked... he flies off. White Vision flies off. He says, I am Vision, and he takes off. And I'm assuming we will see him again at some point in an Avengers film or one of these films. But he's probably on a path of self-discovery right now. Vision wakes up his real memories because they're still buried in the android. And he may not have the emotions right now. Maybe he'll learn them again after having time with these memories, but he now knows everything that's happened. He's pretty much our Vision again. He even see kind of like his eyes change, and a little spot where the Mind Stone would be kind of changes as well. So I do think that means, thankfully, we will have Paul Bettany in the MCU going forward.
Yeah, so I think I saw something where he said he's not against continuing to portray Vision. Obviously, he knows more about his contract status than the rest of us. So Marvel's very secretive anyway. So even if he's contracted for like 3 more movies, unless someone can find a way to finagle that information, we're not going to find out till we see him, right? This was maybe the only part where I wasn't totally satisfied. And that was simply because White Vision just flew off, and that was the last we seen him. So,
yeah, I thought maybe he'd help, but I guess he's
I wasn't. I was expecting maybe is he going to help with the cleanup? Is like you brought up before last week? I think are they going to merge into one Vision? Are they still capable of tracking him? Like, I get he has the memories and stuff, but he literally just flew off and disappeared, and that was it. No more Vision for the rest of the episode, which, not a horrible thing, but that was the one part I was really kind of unfulfilled on. Like, at least give me something going further, you know? You don't have to tell me exactly what's going to happen, but give me a tease or something, you know?
I thought maybe, like, at first, I was more happy with it the second time because I was actually like, okay, you know what? It's actually good to get that Vision out of the way because I really want the focus to be on this Vision, the kids, and Wanda for this episode. And you know what? And we'll probably get that White Vision another time. The first time, yeah, I was expecting him to come up in one of the end credit scenes, but he didn't. So the second time watching it through, knowing what already happened, I was like, you know what? I actually really like that because I really just want to focus with the Vision we kind of knew these 9 episodes to really drive the emotional center of the show onward. So then we get kind of like, so White Vision, that's done. We finished kind of the Hayward plot. So really we're going to get into the Wanda Agatha stuff here. So Wanda uses her old Age of Ultron trick where she, gets into somebody's mind and kind of shows their fears. And it's the 1693 Salem scene where the witches are, where they're,
their life is sucked out.
They're lifeless. And they wake up and at first Agatha, I think, is kind of playing it up that she's kind of scared by this. But really, she kind of flips this around on Wanda and has... those start coming at her then. The lifeless witches kind of all drained of life snap back and start saying, "You're the Scarlet Witch," and kind of like chasing her a bit. So Wanda handles it though, and they break out of it. We're back in Westview. We also hear Agatha say, "Give me your power and I will fix the cracks in your spell."
Before we go there, I absolutely loved when Wanda snuck up on her because I didn't see it coming. Agatha's on top of the building. She's looking around and Wanda popped up behind her and kind of, did her little head thing. And I was like, oh, that is great. I really love that. And then when she turned it back on her, I was like, the people who are making this are great because they keep giving me the okie doke on just about everything here. And I was kind of surprised that it actually worked on Agatha in the first place, though.
I think it was just a sneak attack. I really don't think she was that scared by it. I don't think. I think it was just kind of like the sneak attack of, it popping up behind her and her kind of like making her see that, but I think she flipped it around pretty quick where she wasn't that affected by it. This is the stuff that made people kind of go crazy in Age of Ultron, and Agatha, I feel like, really just kind of shrugs it off. But yeah, so she says, "Give me your power and I'll fix the cracks in the original spell." Right? So trying to plead with Wanda a bit of, you give me this, I'll fix this for you. You can live here. You can have what you want. Wanda at this point pretty much knows she can't do that because of the mental torture it's putting on people. So Wanda breaks out of that, Salem scene. She tells Agatha to take the power. She's like throwing all this, magic at her, sometimes hitting her, sometimes not. And, Agatha seems to have her kind of defeated, right? Like, Wanda looks pretty lifeless. She's looking like Agatha's mom and all the other witches. And then Agatha tries to cast magic and it doesn't work. And what we see is that Wanda was purposely missing at times to cast these runes that were from the last episode, meaning that anybody in the hex that's a witch could not use powers except for Wanda. So, very clever, and this is where, again, she outsmarts her. She has shown growth in this respect. She learned something, and she even, sarcastically or, kind of sassily tells Agatha, like, thanks for the tip,
I did not see this coming, and I can't believe I didn't see it coming. Usually with movies and TV shows, when they typically give out like that information of, basically the villain will give the hero the information they need that comes back to bite them in the behind later with the runes, and I just didn't see it coming that last episode. And then when Wanda's sitting there firing her little shots off at her, I legitimately thought Agatha was just moving out the way and she was missing. And I watched and I was like, they got me again. These people are too good.
Yeah, and we really should have known because the previously on WandaVision even mentions, I don't know if you watched those, but I did. But it says, it shows that clip again of only the witch who casts the runes can do the magic, But I didn't realize it until you see the marks in the sky, and I was like, she was doing the runes the whole time. That's so awesome. And Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch. We get her in her full get-up, and it looks fantastic. And we kind of see that same shot that she saw in the Mind Stone when she was getting experimented on by Hydra, where it shows, except for it not being like a yellowish gold light behind her, it was a red one, but it was almost the same exact shot, same exact special effect of seeing the silhouette of the Scarlet Witch. And Wanda decides to give Agatha the nosy neighbor role again, and then she takes down the Hex, and she leads the boys and Vision back home and puts the boys to bed as the barriers are going down, so the boys are going to be erased here shortly. And
well, before that, she turns, Agatha's, begging and pleading. She tells her, you need me. You can't do this on your own. She tells her, well, I'll always know where to find you then, which leads me to believe maybe
they'll bring her back.
We'll be seeing her somewhere down the road. And then when she kind of just went back to that real neighbor from the 60s, I was kind of sad for a second because Catherine Hahn from the start has just been such a gem in this show. And seeing her as Agatha in her getup and the attitude she has, I want to see more. So like I said last week, I would love to see what she's been through in these last couple hundred years. Like, I think that would be an interesting look. And because she's still... So correct me if I'm wrong. She's the only one still in this kind of daze in Westview right now, right?
Yes. So this is where I think people were confused as well. Because they were like, well, why would they just leave Agatha there? She's clearly going to be able to get out of it. So when she puts the spell on... Okay, so let's back it up a bit. When Agatha first gets to become Agnes, she's playing the role, right? She's not actually put to sleep or under this spell, because even Billy says, you're quiet on the inside. We see her kind of faking it with Vision in the Agatha All Along song. So she was using her, she was never, I guess she used her magic when she entered into the hex, and she was unaffected because there was no runes set. Now, Wanda had set the runes. So at that point, before she makes the spell to make her into Agnes again, Agatha has no protection, right? She has no way to protect herself from having Wanda put her under this spell and get into her head. So I feel like that's why it works, is because the runes are cast, so she can't use a spell. She can't stop Wanda from doing this. And then when the runes, when the hex goes down and the runes are no longer there, she's still under the spell, and she doesn't realize that she's a witch because she had no protection to protect against it, and she's just going to kind of go on standby, being the nosy neighbor, and won't really know until Wanda has to go there for some reason and take the spell down.
But now here's the weird thing. All these other people in town know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you think they would want to live in Westview anymore anyway?
Whether they do or not, some of them might not be able to, simply because, like I said, that town didn't look like it was in great shape in the first place. So economically, they may not be able to move to a lot of different towns, right? Plus, they do kind of have lives set up and jobs and various other things. It's not hard to move. It's not easy to move sometimes. So, right. But like I said, so now everyone else in this town, they still have the memories of what happened. They know what happened. And this is where I think it could get more interesting, because they know who she really is. But she's stuck in this town as Agnes, who has no clue of what happened or who she really is.
Yeah.
So maybe someone, they could do so many different things. Like, someone could start messing around with witchcraft in the town themselves to try and break her out. I mean, there's just so much they could do with that, especially with trying to keep Agatha or Agnes around. I mean,
I'm assuming at some point, I don't know if it's going to be in Doctor Strange. That might work because of her being a witch. I think at some point Wanda's going to have to go back there and wake her up from it to help them with something.
Yeah, I don't think they would put those lines out there for no reason. I think that's a definite, which, she said, well, you'll need me. You can't do this. Well, I know where to find you. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, okay, somewhere down the road in phase 4 or 5, we will see her again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's interesting because I want to get your take on this too. When she becomes the Scarlet Witch and pulled the whole runes thing, Agatha says, oh, you don't even know what you did. You don't even know what you started or whatever. And it's like, what happened? So Agatha thinks that Wanda did something that maybe set some sort of event in motion now that was bad.
That's what I was thinking too when she was saying that, was that caused something to go in motion that will reveal itself later, where it's going to cause her. And then when she said the line of, you need me where I know where to find you, that's where and why she has to go back. Because remember, Agatha does have knowledge of these things. She's read the book. She's lived for several hundred years. She knows, she has more knowledge of all these different things than Wanda does. Up until the end of this episode, Wanda has no knowledge of her power or anything. She's just kind of going with the flow. So maybe there's some sort of prophecy that because there was already the prophecy about the Scarlet Witch, about her power and everything. So maybe there's more in there about a prophecy of what the Scarlet Witch will do and the evil she'll have to confront or become, and so on and so forth.
Maybe. Let's go ahead and talk about the end here. So we get like I said, the boys are put to bed. I guess they don't know they're about to die, because I don't think they would handle it that well. And they put them to bed. They say, "I love you." Well, family is always going to be together, right? Wanda goes downstairs. Vision is, she's turning off the lights, and Vision comes down, turns one on. I like his line too. It's like something about the dark. Like, you can't do something in the dark. I forget what the exact thing was. I don't have it written down, sadly. But and she's like, "You didn't." He's like, "I read that somewhere," and she's like, "No, you didn't." But he stays with her while the bear is coming down, and they're talking, and he's saying he wants to know, one, what he was, like, what actually is he, and two, that they'll see each other again, that they've said goodbye a few times. They're gonna see each other again at some point. And I thought that was a really nice way to end that part of the story. And what Vision is, and I didn't think we'd get this answer at all. I just thought it'd be like, oh, she made him. But it makes sense. She got her powers enhanced by the Mind Stone. She used part of that Mind Stone that was within her to then make Vision, which she says it is like the... Oh, I don't have it written down here. It was like the Mind Stone that is... The Mind Stone that was in me is what you're made of, along with some other things. But it makes sense why he has the Mind Stone again when he's in the thing, and why he's able to use those powers is because she's using the parts that amplified her powers to kind of make life and give Vision that back. And I think that just works really well especially when you look at the end of Infinity War, and she's using her powers that amplified from the Mind Stone to destroy his Mind Stone. Because of them being the same sort of power, I think it makes sense that then she's able to kind of use that what's in her to make him again.
So this, I'm an emotional person, but I don't get attached to couples or relationships or things in TV shows or movies.
And we know that if you listen to The Break Room, our Superstore.
I'm very capable of separating, fiction from reality and things. This kind of when Vision had to say goodbye, and you could see the hex coming closer, and it's going to end, and that he realizes he's going to end. I did get a little emotional because it was one of those, like, I can only imagine what it's like to hold someone you love for the last time. Especially when it's going to be the last time. And that's what I took from it. Like, that's got to be just incredibly difficult.
And not only is it going to be the last time, but you only have, like, minutes, right? Like, you see it coming. The barrier. Yeah, like,
there's a countdown coming. Like, it's not like, this person's going to, like, go soon. Like, you see it coming. And especially for Wanda, she's had to end his life once. Then she had to suffer from time being rewound and watching Thanos end his life. And now she finally gets some small chance of happiness, but she realizes she's torturing all these other people, so it's not fair to them. So it has to end again. And it was like, I did get a little choked up there, and I was like, man, this has got to really just suck.
Yeah, it's got to be... I can't imagine what Wanda has gone through in her lifetime, losing everybody, and then having to lose Vision, not just in Infinity War, right? But then also she had to do it, and then she had to see it rewound, then she had to see Thanos do it, then she brings him back to life in this, and then she has to lose him again, and also almost get... her skull crashed in by the real one. Like, and she had to lose her kids. Like, this is just more and more and more and more on her, and it's brutal.
If she wasn't an Avenger and a hero, these are the kind of things that turn someone into a supervillain.
Right. So after that, the next day, I guess, she sees Monica.
Is it the next day or is it that day? Because like the house kind of crumbled.
Oh, you know what? Okay,
was,
yeah. So it's like, the night in the hex, but when the hex disappears, it's daytime outside of it. So it's the same day, but the hex was on a different time rotation. So, but she sees Monica in the town. So the townsfolk are all kind of giving her the eye. This is where Monica says that line you mentioned about they don't know what you gave up. And as soon as the sirens start coming, Wanda's like, all right, peace out. I'm getting out of here.
Well, not only that, but she also brings up like they won't understand and it doesn't matter. It won't matter to them. And, she's walking through the town and everybody's just staring at her, staring daggers at her where like that can't have been a comfortable situation to walk through.
Definitely not, no.
But Monica brings up a good point, too. While she's talking to her, she says, what about you? She believes Monica would hate her. And Monica is very sympathetic and is like, no, I don't. If I had your power and I had the opportunity, she would have brought her mom back. And who here among us, if they had the opportunity to bring back someone they love, probably wouldn't take that chance?
Yeah, that's Monica lets her off kind of easy here. I saw some people complain that Wanda doesn't go to jail at the end of this, which, I mean, one, she's just so overpowered, nobody would be able to stop her anyway. But
yeah,
two,
they're not going to be able to put her in jail. Let's be realistic about this.
Two, Monica is totally cool with her, right? So, and also she leaves before the cops can even get there. So who would have apprehended her other than Monica? So,
and remember, Monica from the get-go was kind of on her side, was trying to help her. So it's not like she got off easy. Like, this woman Wanda's suffering. She's going to continue to suffer every single day, knowing what she's done. But, Monica was trying to help her the whole time, and it's just things finally worked out where she was able to get the help that she needed.
Right. This was, Monica. Wanda takes off. We get the cool kind of scene of her flying away in all of her garb, and
I do like her new costume.
Yes, and she's now the Scarlet Witch, so we can now call her that. And we get the end credits. And there were 2 scenes this week.
Well, do we get what's his name being arrested before the credits?
Well, yeah, they showed that. We kind of covered it a bit. But yeah, Hayward's getting. Oh, you know what? No, that is in the first end credit scene. Sorry.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, it is. Because so we get the end credits, we get the flashy credits, then we get where we're usually seeing the mid-credit scene, and we get, Monica saying hi to Jimmy. Jimmy's kind of running the little task force there, I guess, for the FBI, and she's like, authority looks good on you. This might be a reference to Agents of Atlas, which is another comic team that is led by Jimmy Woo in the comics, so maybe they're building up to something like that. And he, she asks where Darcy is, and he says, oh no, I think he asked where Darcy is, and she says something about like debriefing is, boring or whatever, and she says like, well, at least we have to thank her for that, and we see Hayward kind of getting carried away there by the FBI.
Do you think we'll see Darcy again?
I think at some point, yeah. I mean, look, I'm not going to rule out anything because I was actually surprised they brought her back at all for this. So I really like the way Marvel is bringing in some of these side characters. Like when we're looking at Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which is going to be not even 2 weeks from now, they have, they brought Baron Zemo back from Civil War. They're bringing Sharon Carter from Civil War. Just, bringing a lot of side characters from some of those other movies that you thought maybe their story was wrapped up, but isn't. So I'm really excited for all these shows to kind of have those, little touches in them. I think Hawkeye is supposed to have somebody from the Black Widow movie in it. So we're going to be getting these threads of these characters, and they're able to bring back, as long as they fit the story, right? Like Darcy made sense in this one because of her profession, and
she fit in well with the people too.
Yes, she fit very well in.
Like she wasn't shoehorned in where they were just trying to fit this character. Like she had chemistry. Her character and Kat Dennings had chemistry with the people there, so it fit and just made a lot of sense.
Yes, and it was great too because like this is what's great about the MCU is that you can just, once you're this big, right, with the 23 movies or whatever, and now the TV shows, and you have these established characters from somewhere else, you can bring them in and introduce them to a new audience. Like for some people, this is probably their first introduction to Darcy if they never watched the first 2 Thor films, right?
Yeah, for me it was.
Like you, right,
yeah.
Exactly. This is some people's first introduction to Jimmy Woo, like you, right? But it's like, it's almost like reading an actual comic book in the sense of like when you read comic books, which I do a lot now, you might see some of this where it's like, okay, well, this person is actually from this other comic book and they're kind of like crossing over here. This is a little side character you might see every so often. But also it works if you never read any other ones. They kind of introduce them like, oh, this is this person, And
that's how this Jimmy Woo, FBI.
Yeah, this is how the show did it, right? The show was like, all right, here's Jimmy Woo. He's in the FBI. That's all you really need to know about him. Darcy, she's working with astrophysics or whatever, right? This is what she does. That's all you need to know. But if you're already a fan that's watched all of these, you're like, oh, it's Darcy. Oh, it's Jimmy. And like the next time they show up, you're going to be like, oh, look, it's, Darcy and Jimmy again. And it's just, instead of it just being a new character, like another FBI agent, you can, the Marvel can be like, you know what, let's put Jimmy in here. That'll make the fans happy. But also he's just a great character played by Randall Park. And it's going to make him shine even more. And we have plans to use him in this other thing.
Not only that, but especially with everything being digital, like I know they still make physical comic books, but with everything being digital now with comic books and these other stories, now people can start looking out. Oh, let me check on Jimmy Woo, and now maybe they'll go back and watch Ant-Man if they haven't seen it before. Right. Now maybe they'll go back and watch Thor to see more about Darcy, or they can go see what other comics she might have been in, and maybe that can kind of open up those other worlds of the comics for these characters to go check these things out.
Or maybe they'll finally check out Age of Ultron like Disney Plus has been trying to get us to do after each episode. So we get an agent, coming over to Monica in this end credit scene. It's like, hey, they want to see you in the theater, because that's where you would want to meet up.
Yeah, debriefings in the theater.
Yeah.
And it's big enough, you're going to have a lot of people in there. There's going to be questions. That seems like a reasonable place to have a debriefing at.
And it's so empty in there. And Monica's kind of like, I don't understand what's going on. And we get the agent shifting into a Skrull from Captain Marvel. And they say, like a friend of your mother's sent me and they want to meet you. And she's like, where? And she points up to the ceiling, meaning like space, right? Like you're going up space. And this is set up probably for Captain Marvel too.
And he brings up, they heard you've been grounded. So here's a question. Do you think it was Carol Danvers or do you think it's Nick Fury?
Oh, maybe Fury. Yeah. Or maybe another Skrull. I don't know. Like,
because I haven't seen it, but I guess I've heard that in, what is it, Far From Home? Fury's actually in space in the end in one of their end credit scenes.
He's in the space with the Skrulls up there. Yep.
So it could be maybe Fury's the one who wants to see her, or maybe it's Carol Danvers who wants to see her now all grown up and everything.
I feel like if it was Carol, she would have said Carol. I think like the friend of your, because she knows Carol.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it would have been it'd have to be either another Skrull or maybe Nick Fury. I think she met Nick Fury before in Captain Marvel, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
So I mean, like,
yeah, maybe she doesn't remember.
That
but you
might
think
just
with
be
her
like a
being in
passing.
Sword, she would have met him at some point, but you never know. The second end credit scene is like on this beautiful Norway, Denmark type.
There was so many credits in this. Like, I sat there waiting and waiting and waiting. And it's just, and look, I 100% am for the credits because all these people worked hard to get this product to us all around the world. So these people who made the Danish voice languages and German voice languages and all this other stuff, I am not taking anything away. They deserve to have that and to be able to see their name on screen. Like, that is a great thing. But oh my God, there was so many credits.
Yeah, this time I just fast forward. The first time I let them run, but this time I fast forwarded to the scenes. But we get this, beautiful countryside of, somewhere in Scandinavia, it looks like, right? With the way that the cabin's built. And it's Wanda just kind of sitting on the porch drinking some coffee, enjoying the sights. But then inside we actually see actual Wanda is in reading the Darkhold, reading a spell book here, the Darkhold, and she
so
hears...
is that the same Wanda? Is she astral projecting?
Yes, it's astral projection. Yeah, so okay. The Wanda that's sitting on the porch, I think, is the astral projection one of her, and the one reading the book is actual Wanda because she's in her getup. We hear Billy and Tommy calling for their mom, and we get like her looking. I don't know how to really describe it, but she kind of looks up and we kind of get it kind of zoomed into her eyes and then bam, that was it. So the Darkhold is a book with a bunch of powerful black magic spells, and its influence is so strong, according to the Marvel Wiki here, that all of those who read it are corrupted. So does this corrupt Wanda? Does this make her the villain of Doctor Strange 2? Does this... is she actually not just going to be able to be corrupted because she's the Scarlet Witch? Her hearing the boys' voices, does this mean there is a way to bring them back and make them real? That's what happened in the comics. So in the comics, I'm not 100% on how this worked, but in the comics, the boys were in like a hex type thing, like where they were not really real, and then later get brought into the reality through some sort of means. So maybe that's how they're going to do it here, is that she, somehow finds a spell in the Darkhold that lets her bring them forward.
So I saw this, I heard the voices. What I would like to see, and I don't think we ever will, or maybe not now, I would like to see an independent Scarlet Witch movie.
That'd be great.
I know she's going to, which I don't even know how, maybe other than the book, this directly tied into Doctor Strange. I'm assuming it's just from the book, but it...
Yeah, everybody thought the multiverse stuff would be what led into it, but I do think it's the book because Agatha mentions in the book about how Wanda is stronger than the Sorcerer Supreme, which is Doctor Strange. The pose she is in when she's reading the book is how Doctor Strange sits when he's, like doing the calculations in Infinity War and when he's reading the books in Doctor Strange. So I can definitely see that this is... And at the end of Doctor Strange, which I don't think you've seen, right?
Not yet, no.
There's a character that's like, I'm going to kill all the wizards and witches, right? So, like, that is something that maybe kicks in the motion. They hear about this stuff with Wanda. They're trying to track down the Darkhold. They're trying to track down witches and wizards to, no more magic users. And stuff like that. I could see it kind of being like that. And then I don't think it had anything to do with the multiverse here. You know, like a lot of people were thinking with Pietro and stuff that it was going to lead into that aspect of Doctor Strange, but it seems to be more on the magical side.
So I would either, with you saying that, I would like to see maybe Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch kind of go at it. That would be awesome. But like I said, more than anything, I would love to see a Scarlet Witch independent movie. I think Elizabeth Olsen has shown she can carry that. I think the fact that WandaVision is like the highest streaming thing in a long time has shown she's capable of carrying that people have an interest in her and her character. I think the fact that Catherine Hahn has been such a breakout star on this, that people all over the place are loving her and her character. I think this could be, and I mean, obviously they have plans going ahead years, so not only phase 4, they probably have like phase 5 and 6 plans for somewhere down the road. But to me, this would be something that should kickstart something like that. But that's why I'm behind my computer and not working on Marvel.
Well, any other thoughts here on WandaVision as a whole?
This was a great ride. I learned a lot from it about the history of the characters and various things. I did get emotional at the end, like I said, with Wanda and Vision. I tend to have a thing for redheads, so Elizabeth Olsen will forever have a piece of my heart from this. Like I said, I didn't realize how great of an actress Catherine Hahn was, and she really stole the show in this. And I know I said it before, but I'll say it again. I hope it doesn't get ignored come award season next year. I hope it doesn't just get like the same stuff of special effects or costuming or editing or something. I hope the people who put actual, not to say the other people didn't put work, but the actors and actresses of this get recognized for their work in this, because they did such a fantastic job.
Agreed. I really enjoyed the show. I can't wait to watch it fully, like over again, add it into my rewatch at some point.
And now knowing everything, can you go back and
yes,
are these times you see Agatha, is she doing something else that you weren't noticing before that now you can look at and be like, oh, stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it. My advice to people going into Falcon and Winter Soldier is, you know what? Just don't buy into your theories all that much. Just try to go for the ride. I really enjoyed just, I did enjoy speculating with you, Casey, and I enjoyed talking this out, but I was never really attached to anything that I spouted on here, because the only thing I think I'd say I was probably the most convinced is that Agnes would become Agatha Harkness, but that seemed to have been kind of the general consensus anyway, and it made sense with her name, Agatha Harkness, Agnes, but I wouldn't have been really upset if that wasn't her either, it is what it is. I try to let the writers do what they need to do. I have the utmost faith in Marvel because of their streak. They've been, so good at everything right now. So I'm looking forward to Falcon and the Winter Soldier in 2 weeks. I'll be back next week to probably cover the new Spider-Man movie title that dropped and stuff like that. So I'll still release an episode, next week talking about some of the updates to the movie side of things before we get ready for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So that's all. I've said my piece on WandaVision. It was a fantastic ride. I really got to know Wanda and Vision so much better that, being able to spend so much time with them on a TV show, I can't wait to see these characters again sometime.
I knew all of my stuff was going to be way wrong. Like I wasn't attached to it. I was hoping, but I just knew I was going to be horribly wrong. And you know, that's kind of the fun of some of these things is trying to guess and see where and speculate where things are going to go, and then coming to find out like, oh, that escalated quickly, and I had no clue about what they were capable of. So
definitely. So if you want to follow us on Twitter at 2infinitysaga, TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond, or email us, marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. Thank you again, Casey, for coming on and breaking down WandaVision. We'll have to get you on for one of the fall shows, either like Miss Marvel or Hawkeye. I'll let you choose which one you want to come on for if you're interested.
Thank you for having me on. Like I said, this would have been sitting in my queue, and I would have missed out on this show had you not invited me to come do this. It'd still be sitting there in my queue, in my list, and I'd probably be doing something else right now. And
you'd be playing your PlayStation right now.
Not only that, but like, I would have missed out. I wouldn't have been like, yeah. Especially the winking Agatha meme that is out there right now. Have you seen this?
No, I don't think so.
So there's a meme. There's a meme going around of Agatha kind of winking with a smile on her face, and it's kind of
yeah.
It has some sarcastic
putting
things
it everywhere.
To it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm only 5 minutes away, and you know she's got the winking smile. Meanwhile, you're still at your house, you know, getting dressed. Like, I would have been seeing this meme and been like, what the hell is this all about?
Yeah, and the internet moves fast on memes that by the time you would watch it and be posting it, they'd be like, oh, we're already moved on to the next thing.
Yeah, they'd be 8 memes ahead, and I'd finally just be getting the gist of like, oh, okay, I get it now. But yeah, like when I first started seeing that pop up, I laughed so hard because I was like, oh, here we go. This is the new one. But the internet is so creative. The people on the internet are so creative with it. I was just like, yeah, this works.
Yeah, I have so many shows in my queue that I've been saying I'm going to get to that I haven't. So maybe if I did a podcast about each one, I'd actually get through them all. But I don't have time for that. But yeah, so just anybody reach out to us here. We'll answer some fan stuff. If like I said, I have an episode that I'm going to be releasing next week. So if you have any of your overall thoughts on WandaVision, send them in. I can go over them then. But other than that, have a great rest of your weekend, and we will, or at least I will, catch you all next week with the Spider-Man news and all the other catch-up stuff that we need to do while we were breaking down WandaVision. So I'll catch us all up on that, and we'll catch you next time.